Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to break down the anatomy of a crisis, a series of events that might seem disconnected at first, but when you piece them all together, they reveal a nation under some serious stress.
But as you're about to see, that one social media post, it was really just the tip of a much, much bigger iceberg. All right, let's get into it.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the spark that really lit this firestorm. Then we'll look at the strategy of division and the chaos it's creating in federal agencies. We'll also dive into the very real problems mounting across the nation. Then we'll examine some big moves to change the rules of the game, and finally ask if an unexpected coalition might be forming in response.
Okay, so first up, how a simple post sparked all this outrage. This is the event that got everyone's attention.
This whole thing unfolded incredibly fast. It kicks off late one night with a deeply offensive video. By the next morning, the official story is to deflect, blame a staffer, call it an erroneous post. But by that night, a complete 180. Aboard Air Force One, there's a direct admission of who posted it along with a flat-out refusal to apologize. In less than 24 hours, you see a pretty clear pattern emerge. Create chaos, then control the shifting story.
So you have to ask, right? Was this just a moment of poor impulse control, or was there actually a deliberate strategy at play here?
Well, this wasn't some one-off thing. It actually fits into a historical blueprint for holding on to power. The idea is, when a coalition seems to be threatening the status quo, you hammer away at racial fault lines to try and break it apart. It's a strategy with really deep, painful roots in American history, used to turn groups against each other and distract from other issues.
And this quote from civil rights activist Nakima Levy-Armstrong really shows you the personal side of these tactics. She's talking about how a photo of her, looking composed while being arrested, was digitally changed to make her look terrified. Her words? They just get right to the heart of the strategy. When you can't break someone's strength, you create a fake picture of weakness instead.
All right, so let's shift gears a bit. Let's see how this same kind of confrontational approach is playing out inside the federal government itself. And, well, it's leading to chaos.
Okay, this slide, wow. It paints a pretty startling picture of a command structure that's completely in disarray. On the left, that's how it's supposed to work. On the right, that's what's actually happening. You've got court testimony and emails showing a Border Patrol commander who seems to have multiple bosses, including a political advisor with literally zero law enforcement experience. It really suggests there's this shadow chain of command operating totally outside the official rules.
And look, this isn't just some bureaucratic mess. This confusion has real, serious consequences. A federal judge looking into cases where people were being held even after courts ordered their release called it exactly what it is, a constitutional injury. He made it clear that when you have that kind of extraordinary power, you have to stay within constitutional limits. And this is maybe the most telling part, and it comes from the government's own side. In court, one of their lawyers basically admitted that these aggressive surge operations have just overwhelmed the system's ability to keep up with the Constitution. The strategy seems to be detain first, figure out if it's legal later.
So it's no surprise that the public is noticing all this turmoil. A recent Marist poll shows that a pretty big majority, we're talking nearly 2/3 of Americans, believe that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, has gone too far.
And the fallout? Well, it's not just stuck inside government buildings. It's spilling out and being felt all across the country, creating a whole host of problems that are affecting people's health, their jobs, and their livelihoods.
First, let's talk about the economy. I mean, look at this number. Last month, the country saw over 108,000 jobs get cut. That's the largest single-month loss since the Great Recession. It's part of a bigger trend, especially in manufacturing. Economic instability, it's a key symptom of a nation under stress.
Then you have public health, and this is a really tough one. The current Secretary of Health and Human Services is being linked to a trip to Samoa that U.S. Embassy emails suggest was meant to spread skepticism about vaccines. After that visit, vaccination rates there dropped, and a measles outbreak killed 83 people, most of them little kids under 5. And out in America's heartland, the situation is so bad that a bipartisan group of former agriculture officials is now warning about a potential widespread collapse. I mean, just look at the numbers. Farmer bankruptcies have doubled. Only half of farms expect to be profitable this year, and the U.S. is facing a historic trade deficit in agriculture.
So on top of all of these immediate crises, there are also these bigger moves happening. Moves to fundamentally change the rules of the game, the very systems that our democracy is built on.
Okay, this slide shows a huge shift. something that's been in place for over 140 years. The U.S. has always relied on a nonpartisan civil service. The whole idea is simple. Federal workers are hired for what they know, not who they know politically. It ensures the government can keep functioning no matter who's in charge. But a new rule that just got finalized aims to dismantle that, stripping job protections from 50,000 workers so they can be replaced by political loyalists.
And when the public heard about this plan, well, their reaction was captured in about 40,000 public comments. And as you can see, the opposition was, let's just say it was pretty clear. A staggering 94% were against the move.
And at the same time this is happening, big changes are also being proposed to voting itself. There's a bill called the Save America Act. Its supporters say it's just about making sure only citizens vote. But critics, like the Brennan Center for Justice, estimate that the new proof of citizenship requirement could actually disenfranchise as many as 21 million eligible American voters. So the crucial point here is that these aren't just minor tweaks. We're talking about huge, systemic changes to how elections work.
But here's the thing. With all this pressure building up from all these different directions, this whole strategy of creating division, it might actually be backfiring.
I mean, the backlash to that initial post was immediate and it was fierce. You've got opposition leaders like House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries arguing that, far from splitting Americans apart, these actions are actually uniting people against what they see as an assault on American values.
And that leaves us with this one big final question, right? When a society is put under this much stress, when its institutions, its economy, and its people are all being tested at the same time, what happens next? Do those divisions just get deeper and crack the whole foundation apart? Or do people somehow find a new, stronger unity in response? That's really the question to think about as all of this continues to unfold.